Hey everybody, in this video we're going to be talking about layers in Photoshop. Now you probably already have a pretty good idea of what a layer is, but in this video I want to go a little bit more in depth, talk about some optimal ways to use the layers panel in order to get the most out of your Photoshop experience. With that being said, you'll see that I am starting off with a file that already has 2 layers plus a background. For the purposes of this lesson, we're going to be making a hamburger in Photoshop using the layers panel. So you'll see right off the bat, we have a bottom bun, which we can see, but we also have a top bun that we can't see. And the reason we can't see it is because it's hidden. Now, you know a layer is hidden when there's no eyeball next to it, or depending on the Photoshop version, sometimes the eyeball might be just grayed out. You can always get that little eyeball back by clicking this box right here, and it shows back up. So now we can see my top bun. Another thing you may notice about these layers is that they have names. So something that I'm pretty sure we haven't went over yet is the fact that you can name layers. And sometimes this is really, really helpful because these previews are so tiny that sometimes it's good to have a little bit of a keyword as your layer title so that you know which layer you're supposed to be on. To change the name of a layer, all you do is you double click the name. Normally it'll start with a name like layer 1, layer 2. So you just double click it and then it allows you to name it. I'm going to go back to hiding the top bun because what I want to do is I want to build on top of this burger. So basically what we're looking at right now is like a top view of a hamburger. And we're going to add all the ingredients that's missing right now. Alright, so I just grabbed a picture of lettuce off of Google. So I'm just going to Command V to paste the image. And you'll notice it's very big, so I'm just going to shrink it down. Okay, so this is good. And I'm going to use my extensive knowledge in selection tools to get rid of the white background. We're going to use the object selection tool. And then I'm going to inverse and delete. Alright, so now we have our first addition to our hamburger, this nice fluffy piece of lettuce. So once you've scaled down your piece of lettuce, just make sure you hit enter on your keyboard or you click that little check mark. And you'll see that our lettuce layer lands right at the top, which actually is not where we want it to be because we have our top bun right here, we just can't see it. But of course the lettuce is not going to be on top of the top bun, so we're going to have to move that down. Now, I'm sure you guys know this already, but just to review, to move a layer on the layers panel, we just have to drag it up or down, and you'll see these little blue lines. That's how you know where it's going to land once you drop it. Now, for organization purposes, let's double click the name of this layer and name it lettuce. Now, I'm going to do this a few more times with a few more ingredients, and then I'll get back to you to sum it all up. Alright, so as you can see, since last time you saw my burger, I've added a lot of stuff. I added the actual burger, which I ended up moving below the lettuce. I added a slice of tomatoes, some pickles, onions, ketchup, mayo, and now I want to finalize everything. So of course, we are going to close our hamburger by turning on the top bun. But something else that I want to do is I want to show you how to group layers. Now, grouping layers requires you to utilize key commands. The layers that I want to group together are all of the insides of the burger. So I want to keep my top bun and my bottom bun separate from this group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with mayo. I'm going to click it and it's going to be selected. We know it's selected because it's a lighter gray than all the other layers. Now, something to keep in mind whenever you're selecting layers, and really anything in Photoshop, if you want to select more than one, you have to hold down Shift on your keyboard. So for example, if I only wanted to select the condiments, like mayo and ketchup, then I would hold down Shift on my keyboard, and then I would click ketchup. And now I have both of these selected. However, I actually want to group all of the insides of the burger. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to the burger, and then I'm going to hold down Shift again, and notice how I didn't undo anything. These two are still selected, I'm holding down shift, and then I'm going to click burger. And now I have all of my burger toppings selected, you can see as I scroll through. And then you can group your layers. There's two ways you can do this. You can either click Command G on your keyboard, or if you don't remember the key command, all you do is you right click any one of the selections. Just make sure you're right clicking, because otherwise it's going to deselect all of the layers. And then you just scroll down on that menu and you find the group from layers option, which actually happens to be right at the top there. It's going to give you the option to name the group, and I'm going to name it toppings. Click OK. And there we go. And this is a really, really great tool, because this way, let's say you're only wanting to see the top bun and bottom bun again. Now all of your toppings are grouped together, so you can simply hide the entire group as opposed to going in there and hiding the mayo and the ketchup and the onion. It makes it a lot easier, and it makes using Photoshop a lot more effective and quick. Another thing about Photoshop that I want to run through with you guys really quick is the lock option. Now you'll notice our background right now is locked. Normally whenever you start a file, you'll have at least one locked layer. You can add a lock option on anything. So for example, if I want to lock my buns, then what I would do is I would just click on the layers and then click this little lock button up here. And then again, go to my bottom bun and do the same thing. I'm going to unlock those for now. There's some other cool things that you can explore in the layers panel. For example, blending modes, which we're definitely going to be going over later in the year. And also opacity, which is interesting because you can use this when you're working on projects where you don't necessarily want to hide an entire layer, but you want to be able to see through it slightly. You drag the opacity down, and then you can see that you can still see your bun, but you can see through it too. It changes the opacity, and you might do that for stylistic reasons, or you might do it for momentary reasons, like when you're working on a project and you have to see through it. I'm going to bring that back up to 100. One more thing. So there is a switch right here, and this is your filtering switch. So this is interesting because it allows you to filter the type of layers that you can see on your layers panel, and this could be helpful in instances where you have a lot of text or you have a lot of images mixed with text. If you only want to see text, then you would click this switch and then you would click the T. Right now we don't have any text, but we do have a lot of images. So when I click the images and then I deselect the text, you'll see all the images are here. So I can't really show you a great example of this right now, but if you ever notice on your layers panel that a layer is missing, that could be why, and you want to check and make sure that layer filtering is not on. Alright guys, well that is the end of the video. I hope I helped you learn a little bit more about Photoshop layers. It's going to be super helpful in the future.